1 year ago, we were asked to flatten the curve, to socially distance, to wash our hands, and to do our part in combating the novel coronavirus. A year later, so many of us have been impacted, not only those of us who contracted the virus, but in communities around the country, those who own businesses, teachers, students, parents. And a year later, as we continue the battle of this pandemic, many are feeling that pressure. But what are some doing to help bring a little bit of relief to those small business owners, a little bit of relief to those in the restaurant industry? We'll be joined tonight by the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs to talk about their efforts to bring some restaurant relief. That's all coming up right here, right now. My name is Sam Chen, and this is Face the Issues. Good evening and welcome to Face the Issues. I'm Sam Chen. 1 year ago, we first heard that phrase, flatten the curve. Social distancing, wash your hands. Let's all do our part to end COVID-19. Well, a year later, we know it's impacted so many lives and so many livelihoods, not just those who got sick or lost loved ones, but it seems that everybody across the country had their livelihoods shifted, including small business owners and especially those who own restaurants. So a year later, as they continue to come out of this pandemic, there are groups that are pitching in and seeing what they can do to help. And we're so pleased tonight to be joined by Gina Martens. Gina serves as Senior Vice President of Member Relations and Sales for the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce. Gina, welcome to Face the Issues.
Sam, thank you so much for having me on your show today to talk about some of the great things the Chamber's been doing in and around our communities.
It's great to have you. And Gina, before we get started, it has been a crazy year. How are you and your family doing?
Well, thank you so much. It has been a crazy year. You know, we've had to adapt to hybrid learning within our schools. I have school-age children. I have somebody in college, and she's been home with us, learning remotely. It's been a tough adjustment for all of us, but even more so for our businesses that have been hit so hard. I mean, who would have thought a year later we'd still be in this thing?
Yeah, it's crazy to think this is 1 year ago. Now, you are with the Greater Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce. It is one of the largest regional chambers in the country. You guys span several counties throughout the state of Pennsylvania and into New Jersey. I want to ask you, Gina, a year ago, these shutdown orders began. We have debated the politics of those on this show before. That's not what we're doing today. I want to ask you just if you could speak to the impact that you've seen that this pandemic has had. I mean, so many businesses are chamber members. What impact have you seen among your members, among small businesses, among restaurants throughout our region?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been really hard, and small businesses have been hit particularly hard. Those small businesses along our Main Street communities, downtowns, and urban cores, they're the backbone of our Lehigh Valley community, and they've been hit especially hard. The early part of this pandemic, they were completely shut down. Certainly, we've seen business closures, those that couldn't weather the storm. Again, going back to, I don't think any of us thought we'd be in this a year later, but we still are in not completely shut down, but still very much in a restricted state, if you will. In many cases, there have been furloughs and layoffs with businesses, and then you take the whole office complex and work from home, that remote worker. And that adds a whole other element to the effect of what it's doing to our small businesses and their livelihoods on a daily basis.
Sure. And yeah, I think, work from home, Zoom, who would have thought, Zoom is now a everyday household term, right? We're going to Zoom,
Sure.
We're Zoom University. I've heard all the jokes about it. And Gina, you just touched on something that I think is so important and something I have said a lot on this program, that yes, the COVID-19 has impacted so many lives and has taken so many lives from us. But it's also altered so many livelihoods, people who never contracted the virus, but their livelihoods were impacted and some of them taken away. You just talked about a lot of these business closures. And I think sometimes we inadvertently forget the humanity of those that have struggled with this, even outside of the health question. And so the Chamber in late 2020 was announced that you guys were launching something called the Restaurant Relief Fund. Talk to us about this fund. What is it? What does it do? And what's your goal with this?
Yeah, thank you so much. So that, our president and CEO, Tony Iannelli, he is a dynamic, fierce Lehigh Valley leader. And he said, we have got to do something to help these restaurants. So we did. We launched this fund. And I'm going to talk more about that fund in a moment. But even before this latest round of Restaurant Relief Fund, back in April of 2020, we launched the COVID-19 Relief Fund. And then that helped over 300 businesses. That was $353,000, of which roughly 100 restaurants received some of those grant funds. But that was money early on that we injected into small business to help keep them going during that difficult time. And then in December of 2020, when the government announced complete shutdown of indoor dining in restaurants at probably their busiest month of the year, right? If you think about all those holiday parties and celebrations that happen, the New Year's Eve celebrations, think about that's when the restaurants make their money. And he announced that closure. And Tony Iannelli stepped up and said, listen, we've got to do something. So we put this fund together, $150,000, but a lot of Lehigh Valley leaders stepped up big time to support that fund and contribute. And I have a couple of them that I want to mention, but ESSA Bank, Boyle Construction, Capital Blue Cross, Delacour Strategies, and From Electric all stepped up and supported this fund. We were able to fund roughly 110 restaurants with $1,500 at that time to pay rent, but take care of their employees when they need it most.
Yeah. Oh my, that's incredible. And it's to your point, it's not just the restaurant owners. For so many restaurant owners, I don't know how many of our viewers realize this, but it is their life savings that go into this, and it is difficult to make it in that industry without a global pandemic. But it's not just the restaurant owners. To your point, it's their staffs and their employees that are also losing out. When the restaurant goes down, so many people are out. And so the fact that you guys you did this, you did one round, like you said, for small businesses, now one round for restaurants. What was obviously COVID-19 is the driving force, but in those conversations with Mr. Iannelli and with your board members and so forth, and those who jumped in and donated, what was the driving force behind this? Why this project?
Well, restaurants, they've been so good to us, right? Anytime we're having an event and, we're looking for a gift card donation and we're looking for, they support so many community initiatives throughout our region. And, we needed to give back to this community. And I think that the hospitality industry has probably suffered. They've been hit the hardest, quite frankly, during this recession with, they'll say, the most amount of restrictions out of any industry. They felt particularly targeted. And, we felt like we needed to step up and be there for them. And plus, when you look at our membership and our makeup, we have over 400 hospitality members that make up our members. It's one of the largest industries we have at the Chamber. Now, this program was not inclusive to membership. It was open and available to anyone, any restaurant in the community, whether they were a member or not. So I want to make that point clear. But it was just important that they were impacted hard and we needed to be there.
Well, that's what it's about, right? When the hard times hit, everyone rolls up their sleeves and contributes and does what they can. And we certainly appreciate you and the Chamber doing that. Gina, I want to ask you, this is, to your point, you guys did this for restaurants, you did this for small businesses. This is just one of many, many ways the Chamber pivoted during the crisis, as so many of us did. You guys did a lot of different programming, online programming, trying to help small businesses get back online, or saying, if you're closed to foot business, foot traffic, is there a way to translate that, transition that to online? Talk to us a little bit about some of these different programs or webinars or forums that you held. What was the feedback? What was the result?
Yeah, thank you so much. A lot of great programming early on. When this pandemic hit, people came to us. They needed answers. They looked to the chamber for those resources. Everything from navigating the PPP. If you remember that first PPP round, how many questions businesses had, right? They sought guidance. We actually put together a program whereby our businesses could tap into 20-minute consults with local attorney offices and CPA offices for some of those questions. So we put that program together. That's been beneficial. A lot of members have come to us and really took advantage of that program. But, not only the PPP guidance, but how do you return to work safely? When it was time to go back, right, that red phase was over. How do you transition back to work safely? And then, even now, vaccine questions and topics and programs. Are we required, are employees required to get the vaccine? What's legal, what's not? And all of those questions in between. And the chamber has been able to deliver on all of that in terms of the virtual programs.
Yeah, and that's just so many things that I don't think we think of in everyday life that we don't know, that we take for granted until the time comes. And certainly the chamber has been instrumental in doing that. Gina, I want to ask about looking forward. I certainly hope a year from now we're not having a conversation of needing to bail out restaurants and do this, because hopefully in the year from now we're back to a robust and thriving economy, that they're doing well. So I want to ask about looking forward. There's obviously renewed hope with the vaccine. What is your hope for business owners, for families, for restaurant owners moving forward?
That's great. Thank you. Well, our mission at the chamber is to improve the economy and quality of life in the Lehigh Valley. Certainly, being less restrictive in our daily lives will give us a better quality of life. I think at the chamber, we're looking forward to warm weather where we can be outside and plan those outdoor events. We're very much a chamber of commerce, as we are a chamber of communities. And we love to bring our communities to life with festivals, events, and programs and concert series. We want to get back to that. And we have plans in the works for some of that to happen this summer and this fall. So be on the lookout for that. I think for our restaurants, one of the great things that we do at the chamber too is we plan restaurant weeks in all of our communities, and we have some great restaurant weeks coming up. Those are great opportunities for folks to try a new restaurant they haven't been to before. Really support local, support those communities. Restaurants are so happy to have you in, and while they're still at 50% occupancy and weekends might be busy, during the week I think they could use our help. So dine in, dine out, order takeout, buy gift cards, support local. And I think that's what we can look forward to. And I think, I encourage you to visit our website, lehighvalleychamber.org, for upcoming events and programs and opportunities. It's open to anybody, and we look forward to being a resource.
Yeah, and real quick, Gina, last question. Those who are interested or maybe say have questions, you mentioned the chamber, be able to help in certain ways. I have questions about this or that, or I'm interested in joining the chamber or interested in helping your efforts. Where should they go?
That's great. You can call me directly. You can go to the chamber website, lehighvalleychamber.org. Again, I'm Gina Martens, and we look forward to being a resource to you.
Yeah, Gina, thank you. I think, again, we all have a part to play in this. I mean, there's hope, but the road is still long ahead of us. And so thank you for the work that you do and the work that the chamber does to helping us get there.
Thank you so much for all you do, Sam.
Well, thank you. It's truly an honor for us to be able to be here and use this as a platform. And when we come back, we sit down with Mike Ventola of the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, another group here in the Lehigh Valley who is doing their part and helping to make this place a little bit better as we fight this pandemic. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Face the Issues. Now, the Lehigh Valley Chamber of Commerce is not the only organization that is rolling up their sleeves and doing their part to help our restaurants and our local businesses in their economic recovery. The Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs, the Philadelphia Phillies AAA affiliate right here in the Lehigh Valley, have also announced a campaign to help our area restaurants. Joining me now is Mike Ventola. Mike serves as the media relations manager for the Iron Pigs, and of course is known to all of us fans as the voice of the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. Mike, welcome back to Face the Issues.
Sam, as always, pleasure to be seeing you and being back on the program. Thanks for having me.
Always. It's good to have you here. Your energy is just, it permeates the room. And Mike, it's good to have you here. Now, we're going to get to this question here in a moment about the project you guys are doing. But first, I got to ask you, you got to be excited that after losing the AAA season last year, baseball is going to be back at Coca-Cola Park.
Yeah, Sam, we couldn't be more thrilled, and though we are a little disappointed that our season is delayed 1 month further. We were expected to start in April. The AAA season was originally supposed to start a month prior to all the other levels of the minor leagues, but Major League Baseball recently announced that we would be delayed until May, and our scheduled home opener as of now is Tuesday, May 4th. Against the Rochester Red Wings. So, but we will still have some baseball here at Coca-Cola Park in April. We will once again serve as the alternate site for the Philadelphia Phillies throughout the month of April. So we're really excited about hosting Phillies players once again. And the nice part of it is that once baseball gets going in May, a lot of those players who will be wearing Philly uniform will get a chance to turn those in and wear Iron Pig uniforms starting in May. So it's really coming around the corner fast, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, I looking back, and it wasn't that long ago that a bunch of my friends and I were there at the Iron Pigs, and and then anticipating the 2020 season, and everything just went down. So it's good to be somewhat returning to normalcy. Now, Mike, Iron Pigs, you guys play baseball, but you just announced this new initiative called the Step Up to the Plate campaign. Talk to us about the campaign. What is it, and what is it that you guys are trying to do?
All right, so this Step Up to the Plate campaign, it really kind of originated off of what we did in large part in the beginning part of the pandemic when we created T-shirts called In This Together, raising funds for frontline healthcare workers. So our friends at LVHN and St. Luke's were able to really be the beneficiaries of funds. And we raised around $25,000 back in the beginning of the pandemic. So as much as the frontline healthcare workers have been through so much this year, we really also wanted to see what else could we do to help out folks here in the Lehigh Valley. And another avenue for us was local restaurants, because so many local restaurants have been affected by COVID-19, and because of all the restrictions and trying to create a safe and healthy environment. So we created this T-shirt, Step Up to the Plate, and it's a cool looking T-shirt. I mean, it's got Ferris on the front of it. Instead of swinging a bat, he's got a fork on it. It's really colorful and playful T-shirt. So for just $22, fans, and whether you're an Iron Pig fan or just you want to help out the community, you can get to shopironpigs.com for just $22. 100% of the proceeds will go to local restaurants. So the more fans buy T-shirts, the more funds we can raise for multiple restaurants. So, this has been going on for a couple weeks. We're looking to, extend it as long as we possibly can. But we're really, really excited about this campaign.
Let me ask, what was the driving motivation for this? I mean, I know, yes, obviously the restaurants have suffered, but you guys are a baseball team. What came? How did you come to this decision to say, let's reach outside of just baseball and utilize baseball as a platform to help others?
Sam, one thing that's been very educational throughout this entire process is not only just for me, myself, but of course for this entire organization is, we're very fortunate in a sense here at the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs to be a pillar in the community. And, as much as we want to do what we can to, make some money on our end, because at the end of the day, we are business and we've been affected by this pandemic. But more important to us, what we learned is that so many folks here in the area look to the Iron Pigs, look to us as, like I said, as pillars in the community. So we want to do what we can to be a shoulder for people to lean on, and this was another way for us to do it. So I mentioned about the T-shirts we did at the beginning of the pandemic, but also all the events we did throughout the summer too, socially distanced events. So much money went to Iron Pigs charities, and we raised over $38,000 for community grants during our Phillies winter caravan back in January. So as much as we would, yes, like to have put some money in our own pockets, but it was more important to us to give back to the community. Because let's be honest, folks, for 12 years now, 13 years now, this community has been here for us. So we feel like, this was our chance this year to return the favor. And, we couldn't be more gracious. And I tell you, it's been very fortunate how awesome Iron Pigs fans are, because they've been right there toe-to-toe with us, and it's been very satisfying.
That is wonderful to hear. And I think back to the idea, how can you not be romantic about baseball? And it's the American pastime for a reason. It's so much more than a sport. It's so much more than a ball and a bat. George Will famously said, you can call baseball a game just like you can call the Grand Canyon a hole. And I think you're exemplifying that, this idea that this is a community and you guys are giving back to it. And I'm like, you're doing this to serve area restaurants. What restaurants are you guys looking to help? I mean, is there a selection process, and how are you guys going about that?
So pretty much when the dust settles, and once we decide to cap it off, and we're only going to cap it off as we're hoping people continue to buy, so this can continue on for weeks, months ahead. So what we'll essentially do is that if and when the day comes, we do cap it off. Restaurants then will have the opportunity to fill out an application process, and then pretty much what we'll do is we'll see how much money there is, and we'll then, of course, distribute to as many restaurants as we possibly can. So if you are a local restaurant and this is something that is very appealing to you, keep an eye out on when this campaign does come to an end, and then there will be an application process for restaurants to sign up. So that's how we're going to go about it.
That is fantastic news. So many restaurants that desperately need our help. We just sat down with the Chamber talking about their restaurant relief fund. You guys are doing the same thing. Mike, let me ask you this. As you mentioned earlier, COVID-19 shut you guys down, and it shut down so many lives, and we can talk about the lives lost. And what I just said last segment was it also affected so many livelihoods. And people who may not have been affected health-wise by this were affected as their restaurants were closed or their businesses closed. Some that we've seen are not reopening. When you're from this area and you've been with the Iron Pigs for a long time, as you look forward to 2021, obviously baseball returning with the hopes of a vaccine now, and you guys are now investing to help get these restaurants and businesses back up on their feet. What are your hopes for this year? We're a year from when everything shut down. What are your hopes looking forward?
I know for me personally, is seeing as many fans as possible that can come back to the ballpark and enjoy an Iron Pigs game, whether it's following every pitch or, getting the opportunity to get those pictures taken with Ferris and Fifi, our mascots, or just getting the opportunity to participate in an in-between inning contest. That's my hope, that as the summer, as the spring and the summer continue to go on and the numbers continue to decline, that, right now we'd only be at 20% of fan capacity. So we're hoping that number can continue to rise, and that's my hope. But like you said, most importantly too, Sam, is I'm hoping that, those numbers continue to stay down, and, and that us as a community and as an area continue to rally around one another, and not only just come into Iron Pigs games. I'm rooting for local restaurants to get back out on their feet. Local food stores, anything that's locally based to, pick up some steam once again from where they were, 365 days ago when this thing first hit. So, a lot of hope out there. I do believe there's light at the end of the tunnel. We just have to continue to rally one another, and it's been our message here from Coca-Cola Park, is trying to continue to be here for one another.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike, now you guys at Coca-Cola Park, this is not the first time. I mean, you mentioned at the very beginning, you guys raise money for first responders, but even just recently, you were a COVID-19 testing site as well. Talk to us about that. Why did you guys decide to do that, and how successful was that?
It was pretty successful. The COVID-19 testing site took place in the back part of the stadium in our back parking lot, and it was through our good friends at St. Luke's. So, we've had a partnership with St. Luke's for a number of years, and of course, a partnership with Chen as well too. So, because of our partnership with St. Luke's, it was able to work out because we had the facility, we had the space. And it was just another avenue for us to continue to be available for the community. St. Luke's trying to expand their COVID testing sites at the time, and had reached out to us, and it was able to become a perfect marriage. So we're no longer a COVID-19 testing site. It has since then wrapped up shop, and I think a large part of that is because numbers are going down, and testing is certainly a lot more available at lots of places. So just many things that we're trying to do to be here for our community partners, and that continues to be our focus as much as can until the baseball gets going.
Yeah, and certainly that's not a bad thing that you are no longer a COVID-19 testing site. We certainly hope that as these numbers go down, we will need less and less of those. We certainly hope we need less and less vaccination sites as people get vaccinated and we have enough vaccines, and as this virus, like you said, light at the end of the tunnel, this virus hopefully is passing us by. And so we certainly appreciate that in that time of need, the Iron Pigs were there for their community. Mike, going back to this campaign you guys are doing for the restaurants, how can somebody get involved? I mean, we've got a lot of viewers here who are Iron Pigs fans, community fans. How can they get involved, chip in, help, and join this campaign that you guys are running?
Very simply, Sam, all folks need to do is get to shopironpigs.com, and for $22 can purchase this t-shirt. So it's as soon as you log on to shopironpigs.com, it's right on the main page. Can't miss it. And once you click on the graphic that's there, it'll take you right to the page on where you could select your size and able to purchase the t-shirt. And once you make that purchase, like I said, 100% of the proceeds are all going to local restaurants. So we're in an age now of, especially digital is growing. Everything is truly growing more and more online. So that's the best way for fans to get involved. And we're looking forward to this really continuing to take off, and we want to help as many local restaurants as we can. So it's up to you, the viewer, to the more you buy, the more we can help local restaurants.
And this is a limited time deal, right? This is not something that's going to be here forever.
Yeah, it's going to be a limited time, and we're hoping to operate this as far as we possibly can. We are in the middle of March, so right now we could be looking end of March, early April to put a cap on it. But if folks continue to buy and are continue to be passionate about, we're going to try to continue to prolong this as best as we can. I'm sure the company that's making the t-shirts, at some point they can't make millions of t-shirts, though as much as we'd like to raise millions of dollars. But, there is a point, though, where we are going to put an end to it. And, like I said, try to help as many restaurants as we can. All
right. So get on it. shop.lehighvalleyironpigs.com. Get your t-shirts. Mike Ventola, thank you again for joining us. Thank you for what all you and the Iron Pigs are doing for the community.
Sam, appreciate it. Thank you so much. And it's been a pleasure getting a chance to be on the program. And go Iron Pigs.
And go Iron Pigs. We'll see you soon in Coca-Cola Park. That is our show for this evening. I want to thank Gina Martens and Mike Ventola and all of you in the community who are doing your part to help us rebuild. I hope you'll join us again right here next week. And until then, my name is Sam Chen. On behalf of all of us here at Face the Issues, thank you and good night.